I'm so glad you could join us this morning on this sort of quick turnaround. I think some of you maybe saw the meeting announced for the first time yesterday. And I'm really glad that you can join us and we can hear from you, and you can hear from some people that have really been working on how to have mentoring relationships during the COVID self-isolation. So thank you very much. And that's all I'm going to say. I have been the program director at Mentor Washington, and right now in retirement, I'm working about 30 hours a week as the research coordinator and general fill-in woman. So with that said, it's an informal meeting this morning. We'll start this off. This is our first of what may be a series or not. We have Jolyn Kenny, who's from Big Brothers Big Sisters Puget Sound. Heidi Kaler from Voice Mentoring, school-based program, a large one in Issaquah, and Victoria Gertz Nelson from Links in the Lake Washington School District. So I'm just going to pass it off to them. The idea again is that they tell you and share what they've been doing in their programs to maintain relationships. And please feel free to add your questions in the chat box if you want. And then we'll be sure everybody has a chance to speak, and then we'll have questions and answers and get a flavor at that point for how useful this was and whether you want to have additional informal virtual chats with other programs in the future. So it's really my pleasure. I'm so grateful to all three of these folks. From Jolyn Kenny and I have known each other for about 15 years now. When I worked at Big Brothers Big Sisters, and I've watched her become queen of mentoring in that time. So here you go, Jolyn.
Thank you. That's kind. Good morning, everybody. So excited to be here. Have my coffee. Hope you do too. And I will quickly say my neighbor is derooting a huge tree today. So there's a backhoe and chainsaws and all sorts of fun things outside, just so you're prepared. And as Gina said, I'm at Big Brothers Big Sisters of Puget Sound. We serve all of King, Pierce, and Kitsap counties. So we have offices in Seattle and Tacoma. We have several different program models. So we have our old bread and butter community-based model. And then we have several, we have a traditional school-based program as well. And then we have some workplace mentoring where we run a large program at Amazon and Wizards of the Coast. And we have a Mentor U program that is college readiness, career exploration using a technology platform. So it's technology-enhanced mentoring. Wow, so many more people. Good morning.
I know.
That's great. So we've done several things over the last several weeks. We've been remote for almost a month now. We've switched all of our enrollment to so all of our mentor interviews and family interviews are over Zoom or similar technologies. And, you know, all staff is remote and doing references and background checks remote. We're doing our mentor pre-match trainings over Zoom, which has been super fun to try to figure out how to do an interactive training on Zoom. So utilizing scenario questions and polls and all of those fun things, some videos as well to help do that training. We are just now pivoting as of this week to doing virtual, what we call match introductions. So when we set up we've been paused on making new matches for the last couple weeks. But as of this week, we're launching virtual match introductions. We're requiring that to be on video instead of just phone. And we know from an equity standpoint that we are working really hard to make sure all of our families have access to technology. So we've been diligent about those families who don't have smartphones or laptops and that sort of thing, hooking them up by region, whether that's through their school district. For example, like Bellevue Schools is giving Chromebooks to families that need them and hotspots, that sort of thing. So serving 3 counties, we've had to get busy in terms of understanding who has what resources. So making sure that, you know, equity is centered in all that we're doing. For our Mentor U program, which has been online, that isn't much of a shift other than we've shifted to all of our classroom time being led over Zoom or Microsoft Teams, depending on what the districts are using. We've also been utilizing our staff has been creating, 3-minute videos that we throw up on YouTube. And we're doing a mix of delivering our traditional curriculum, whether that be, resume building or college applications, whatever the curriculum is for the time frame, versus also doing lots of social emotional tidbits. So we've created some conversation starters with like, what made you laugh yesterday? What don't you miss from prior to COVID-19? Like there's like, I don't miss the freeway. I don't miss the freeway at all. And I am completely grateful to be able to work from home. And I know not everybody has that privilege. The one program we haven't quite figured out yet is our, what we call Beyond School Wall, which is where we bus kids from a school to a workplace like Amazon. And we're hoping by June 1st, we're working with our national office to set up a texting platform that is, it's essentially ghost texting. So if any of you have used Uber Eats or DoorDash or Uber or Lyft, when you're texting your driver, they don't actually have your phone number and you don't actually have theirs, but it's text message like. And so we're figuring that out on a national level, which is, I know not everybody is going to have the capability to do that. And that's, still a good month out from testing for us. So we're trying, and we're doing that because we wanted to use this opportunity, even though it's hopefully going to be just, we were hoping for a couple weeks and now it was a month and now maybe a couple months and who knows, right? And so we're really trying to pivot in general and say, maybe this is an opportunity for us to just figure out what things look like for the future of mentoring and how can we adopt some new technologies that maybe we've been hesitant to. And I don't think anything is going to replace that face-to-face relationship. I think that is the core of what we do, but we know that our students are much more likely to text than they are to log into a separate application or a separate website. So we're trying to meet our young people where they're at. We've also been shifting some things around in terms of direct service to our families. So we have a donation center where we collect used clothing and turn around and sell that to Value Village. And instead of laying off our truck drivers, we working with Whole Foods and Safeway to deliver groceries directly to our families and our staff. So we've turned our drivers and that truck fleet around. And all this has happened in 2 weeks, which shout outs to all of you on the ground. Like this is not, I'm at a level where I'm helping from a strategy perspective and setting up the technology, but shout out to all of you directly on the ground making this go. It's exhausting and I couldn't be more proud of our team for how they're pivoting. We're encouraging platforms for all of our matches to connect and I want to wrap this up in a minute. I know I'm at time. We're encouraging platforms like Marco Polo, where it's a quick video. It's basically a quick video back and forth instead of a typed message. And we're also encouraging them to do Zoom time together and do I know you all have seen the resources to the free museums and the free tutoring and the free aquariums and the free this and that, right? And so we're encouraging them to schedule those times once a week, whether that's Thursday nights or Saturday mornings, whenever they're going to do their weekly connection and do some tours. And then finally, our staff is scheduling group activities. We're going to try a virtual movie night together where we'll watch Frozen or, we'll do different age appropriate categories because we serve ages 6 to 20. So we're not going to make the 20-year-olds watch Frozen, but that's what we're doing. Thank you.
So great. Thank you so much, Jolene. I have a lot of questions from that about names of things and kinds of things you're doing. But again, the purpose is to hear from few different programs. So Heidi Kaler, again, is a director of voice mentoring in Issaquah in quite a few schools out there. So that brings specific challenges to her. Heidi, what have you been doing out there?
Thanks, Janet, and thanks for asking me to participate. I want to be really clear that I don't represent just the Voice Mentor program, but we have actually a coalition. It's our peer mentor management forum, and we meet a couple of times probably every quarter right now. And we're all doing some pretty cool stuff right now as it relates to school-based mentoring. But a little bit of information about Voice. So I co-manage the program with my team member, Tina Weber, who's also on the call. And Voice is going on its 16th year of operation in the Issaquah School District. And we are in all 24 schools in the district, K through 12. We currently have about 350 matches and 320 mentors, and it's all one-on-one based mentoring. And right now, it's always been on school property during school hours, which has created a unique challenge and an opportunity for us to see how we can keep the mentor matches going during this really unique time. And also on the heels of the governor's announcement less than 24 hours ago. So we're all, I feel like we're kind of writing the playbook as we go. And most importantly, trying to make sure that our mentors and mentees keep a valuable connection with each other. These are people that have had, you know, months, even years of being a part of each other's lives. And then really the rug was pulled out from under them fairly quickly. So now with this new direction coming out, you know, we're going to have to think about virtual closure. How do we wrap up the program in a way that we've never done before? All of those different pieces. And also a little bit of more background about the coalition itself. Several people are here on the call. So we represent several school districts. We represent the Bellevue School District, Kent, Lake Washington, Riverview, and Snoqualmie Valley. Riverview and Snoqualmie Valley are combined in the Snoqualmie Valley Community Network, and they're also doing some really great stuff. I think right now, one of our biggest challenges is kind of doing that dance with the district, right? I think it presents some opportunities, but also some navigation. That's why I call it a dance. Because we are actually having to kind of press leadership to look at a totally different way of doing things. For example, we recently started a letter writing campaign, letter and cards, and we were able to get our director's support in making that happen. And just over the last 2 weeks, we've been able to get 110 letters or cards out to our mentors from our mentees. So Tina and I are feeling a little bit like a post office, but it's really important and it's clearly met a need. Our mentors have contacted us about different ways they can keep in touch. We're also looking at how we can facilitate mentor matches virtually, have those conversations. I know Snoqualmie Valley has they had their first meeting yesterday. If we have time, I'd love to hear from Heather about how that's gone. Something else that we're doing right now is tending to the mentors and ensuring that they feel connected and supported. So we had our first virtual drop-in session yesterday on Zoom. Now, a lot of our mentors are new to technology, and it's a part of, I guess, our facilitating both our ability to do it as well as our mentors' ability to do it, because we're going to be doing a roundtable session on Thursday, and we're going to be probably offering some other trainings before the end of the school year. Something else that we try to be really mindful of as we're looking at different ways of doing things, kind of like Jolynn, is ensuring that no matter what we do, it's equitable, that every child who is served by Voice will in fact be able to be served by whatever we do. So that kind of leads whatever approaches that we take. That's really a priority for us. I think those are the biggest pieces in terms of what we're looking at now. Our coalition is in touch practically daily now as we're kind of trying to figure out what we can do to keep these connections going through the end of the year.
Great, thanks. Thanks, Heidi. Where are you, Victoria? I don't see you anymore. There you are.
Here.
Again, Victoria is from Lake Washington School District. That's all the introduction I'm going to do. Victoria, tell them a little bit about yourself and so on. Thank you. And your practices.
So the Lake Washington School District, we have what's called the Lunch Buddy program, and it's been going on for 12 years. I've been managing the program for the last year and a half. We are in 15 of our elementary schools, And normally our lunch buddies would come in and they'd meet with their little lunch buddy for an hour during lunch and recess. Heidi, almost everything that Heidi said applies to the Lake Washington School District Mentoring Program, because we are a school-based program. And she so eloquently expressed, everything that we are going through. So since we are a district program, we need to continuing the district guidelines, so we don't share contact information, our lunch buddies and our mentors or our mentees. And so what we are now doing is something very similar to what the Issaquah School District is doing, is we're doing email. And for those students who don't have email, or mentors that don't maybe use email, we are just taking that and the letter that is being written, and we're sending it through the U.S. Postal Service. We need to make sure that again, I am fortunate that I have coordinators in each of the schools that our programs are in, and so mentors and mentees are sending their email or their letter. Actually, I guess the letters are coming to myself and then I'm sending them out. But any emails are going through the coordinator. My coordinators are reading the emails, they're reviewing them to make sure that they're appropriate, and they're deleting all contact information, again, because we don't share contact information. They're forwarding it on. We have, we're about half the size of Issaquah. We 200, little less than 200 kids in our program, and about 160 mentors. And in the last 2 weeks, last week, it's about 155 emails or letters that have gone from either mentors or we've received from students. The other thing that I've been working on is resources, because when normally mentors would go into our schools, and we have like carts or closets that we provide activities for our students to be able to choose from, because we believe in voice and choice. And so what I've been doing is working on a resource list of different activities that mentors could take a look at, and they could send through, either they could print or send through email. It could be a puzzle or a coloring page, or it could be a brain teaser, just different craft ideas, just different things that they could send, fun things that they could send through mail. And I'm happy to share that. Also, I wanted to just share and add on to what Heidi said. The Bellevue School District, I don't know if Karen is on this chat yet. I think Vic said she wasn't, but they do group mentoring. And so last week, the boys, they have two groups. They have a group of boys and they have a group of girls that they work with, that Karen works with. And they had their first, they used Microsoft Teams, and they had their first mentoring group session, which went really well. And if she gets on, maybe she can speak a little more to that. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much what we're doing. Janet?
Oh, Vic, thanks, Vic. So this is a time really, I think, of additional sharing, additional questions. When I was making notes quickly, I was like, okay, so I could have a whole conversation and see how somebody's using texting, or what the platforms are like, or what those activities are like. I know that in that discussion with at least one of you, it's like, how do the mentor and the mentee play a game together? Like, I know somebody said that we're buying 2 jigsaw puzzles and we work on it, or those kinds of things. So that's all I have to say about that. Thank you very much. And I think questions are in order. And if somebody wants to jump in as well with ideas that things that you've been doing, that would be great. So Vic, do you want to unmute everybody?
I will ask if anyone would like to share send something in the chat box so I can unmute you and not the whole group.
Okay. Wave your hand.
Yeah, or that.
I can see you all.
Ashley Delator. Thank you. All right, go ahead, Ashley.
Hi there. So I'm wondering, from a safety perspective, we mentor students in the high school level, and we've been told by the district that we're not allowed to use Zoom or video platforms or any one-on-one mentoring, which is what we were doing with students. And we're dealing with really personal information because we're doing college access and we're helping students fill out their financial aid applications, and it doesn't really lend itself well to being a group event with the content that we're working on. So I'm just wondering if anybody has any ideas for how to support students right now.
Jolynn?
Could you do a supervised Zoom session? So we've had in one of our program models that is true, and our staff have hosted the pair in a Zoom session.
I don't know. The district has just said that we're just not allowed to use video platform interfacing with the students. So
Is there, I mean, it's like, have you had a deep enough conversation to say that, you know, there are other platforms nationally, some of which are very expensive, that have operated for years,
yeah,
again, safety, with supervised folks involved in that, because it's basically the same thing that you had before. I mean, I just don't know what, whether it's that or in high school, I don't know, iMentoring Central, Mentor has a platform that you can apply for free through June 30 that allows that supervision, and maybe the district would say, oh, that's a program from somebody else, it's professional. It's the same thing, you have somebody present watching, but maybe they would accept that kind of thing.
right. What was that one called again?
It's on Mentor, and I will send that out to everybody again.
Okay.
Vic, iMentoring Central?
I would have to double check the URL
Okay.
to have that information.
Okay. Another thing is the privacy of their actual content when we're doing financial aid applications, especially with students who are undocumented. I can imagine that having a supervised call would also be something that they wouldn't, like, that the student or the family wouldn't want, because that information is so private, and I don't know if we would know who the supervisor was. Can anybody speak to that? I know, it's tough.
Ashley, my name is Sharice. Have you thought about maybe speaking to the school counselor? Because I feel like the school counselor probably would have a lot of the information that you're looking for, and maybe if they're present, that would take some of the ouch out of it, to have someone who already knows the student and is aware of the situation. So that's just one thing that I thought about.
That's a good idea. The counselor would be a good good ally for that. Okay, thank you.
What I can say, Ashley, is I'll send out to everybody that information about the platform. It is only for kids that are 13 and above, because of that a little bit more safety issue and freedom, and with that for the national platform, and it's open for applications. I don't know if they'll extend that past June 30, which is a problem already, obviously, because June 30 is not very far away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're getting a question from Chuck. Is anyone hearing from their mentors about an increase in domestic violence? And also, if anyone has something that they'd like to say, you have the option to unmute yourself as well.
Jolynn, I see you nodding, or you just...
Yeah, we've definitely heard about an increase, not just in DV, but just questionable situations in general. I think right now everybody's super stressed out. And, you know, if you're in a situation, I mean, I'm in a pretty stable living situation, and it's stressful. Add on the pressures of finances and losing jobs and not being able to work. And like, if you're working, how are you manage homeschooling for all these kids and they're driving you crazy, and how are you going to feed them? Like that's tough stuff. So we've been hearing, yeah, like, right, Kathy? It's tough stuff. So we've been hearing a lot of feedback around just, questionable situations, whether that's CPS reportable or not. We always take that case by case, but yeah, we've definitely heard an increase of stressful home environments.
Have you discussed, or has anybody discussed more mental health kinds of things or techniques for managing stress and getting that out? Has anybody thought about that?
Part of the problem, Janet, is the Supreme Court set down an order at the beginning of this plague instructing lower courts not to retain perpetrators of crimes unless they were severe felonies.
Right.
And so as a consequence, what's happening right now is a lot of perpetrators are being immediately sent back home to re-engage with the family where the abuse is taking place. So this is not a conversation you're going to hear discussed in public, if at all. And now, as was just said, with the extension of school closure, things are going to get dramatically worse. And I'm bringing it up because I think you people on the West Side have more influence with elected officials, and perhaps could bring this to their attention in a way that's meaningful, because right now it's not being addressed. Thank you, Janet.
Yeah.
Part of the reason, oops, I muted and unmuted. We have a Google Doc that's available to all of our parents and mentors. And it's a whole host of resources for the specific communities we're in, everything from food and housing and unemployment to, info about COVID, but also lots of specific information about self-care, mental health resources, social emotional stuff. Because there's lots of great services out there supporting basic needs, but social emotional needs are often not the top of the conversation in some of those calls. And I think that's critical right now. And so, but it's also critical for our mentors who are stressed out, for them to be taking care of themselves, same as our staff who is now on the front lines supporting folks during a really stressful time. So we talk about that regularly. And a lot of those prompt questions that I was talking about earlier are focused on that. So what brought you joy yesterday? What made you laugh yesterday? What are you looking forward to? Just to try to bring some hope back into the situation.
Yeah.
My name is Donna Kelly, and I work in prevention in Pend Oreille County. And I want to thank you all, first of all, for having this conversation. I really didn't think it was going to apply to prevention, but I took away so many great tools that I'm going to take back to the prevention side that we just never thought of. I have an adult coalition and I have a youth coalition. And one thing that I want to bring up is that we have children that are in a lot of drug impacted homes as well. And if everybody is forced inside, you can begin to think about what their atmosphere inside the home looks like. So that's one of my concerns. The other is having grandparents that now have children in their home and their meds are not properly stored. So those are things that prevention is trying to look at and take on. I would suggest you really try to partner with your prevention people inside your schools. We have access to a ton of information we can give you to put into packets. I'm currently doing the You Can campaign. And I want you guys to please take time to look at what a zine is. A zine, I think it's a zine, Z-I-N-E. Do you guys know what those are? Those are the latest thing that's out there. YouTube it, Z-I-N-E. I sent some of those home with my kids and they love it. It is just taking off. They love them. So that's my comments. But I want to thank you, Janet. Thank you so much for hosting this. Thank you, I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. I'm delighted that you're there. Donna, could you email me directly with resources or just connections, and I'm happy to be that resource and send that out to everybody. At the same time, not sort of overwhelming. Maybe that's a weekly missive. And then and I think the issues that you raise and Chuck raises are, that you've talked about, Jolynn, are really important to think about too. I don't know if it was you, Victoria, who was saying something about really stewarding your mentors and supporting them during that time. I'd like to ask David, who's from Schools Out Washington, to say a few things about what SOA has offered and the meetings that you have as well, because you're taking a broader look as well than mentoring programs and what resources that you have out there, which are substantial.
Hi, everyone. I'm David Beard. I'm from Schools Out Washington, and we support expanded learning opportunities after school and in the summer. So how we define that are pretty much after school and summer programs. So Boys and Girls Clubs, YMCAs, 4-H, but we also work with a lot of single site providers as well, all over the state. So we're somewhat similar to Mentor Washington in that we're an intermediary, so we don't run programs, we support them. So that includes professional development and quality improvement, and that's most of what we do. We're a grant maker in 3 ways, and then policy and advocacy. And so it was really great. Thank you for Janet and Jennifer for connecting me just to let me kind of listen in. I'm the policy director, so something we've been working on the policy front is how do we take mentoring and expanded learning and other wraparound supports like communities and schools and come up with a more comprehensive strategy on the policy level to really get more resources to support all the kind of work that you're doing, the kind of work that our providers do, and so on. I talked to Jennifer a little bit about that. Janet joined our call last week especially now, I mean, unfortunately, I feel like we're turning from going after something big and unique to defending things. But either way, I think a coalition is the best approach forward, and would love to chat with anyone that wants to learn more about that joint work, which we call the Youth Development Strategy Table. It's a fairly new coalition. So, but just other things that SOA provides, I was saying quality improvement and professional development. I mean, sort of the same things that Victor and Janet do, which is really support quality, support training opportunities. Like right now, we have a ton of training opportunities that really can apply to anyone that does youth work. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the confines of an after-school program. And a lot of it is free. So check out our website if you're interested in any of those. And if you're working in different communities, particularly King, Pierce, and Spokane, we do have staff on the ground in those 3 counties, and would love to develop more cohesive strategies either on the PD and training side or on the advocacy side.
Yeah. So. Thank you, David. Which is, please say too that if you go to Schools Out Washington's website, there's a whole COVID section in there. So, we talk about not necessarily us sending out resources all the time. I think there's a fabulous, extensive amount of resources for youth programs there. The other thing that of really connecting, Chuck, with Tea Garden and Spokane with you, David, because Chuck has raised these systemic questions before that have about the legislature and being more effective with the legislature. So I can send you guys an email that connects the 2 of you.
Yeah, and I'll go ahead and put our COVID page and my email address too on the in the chat box.
Okay, great. Then that saves time and effort from doing that.
I see that Sharice has raised her hand. Thank you for being patient, Sharice. Whenever you're ready. Here you go.
Sorry, I was writing some stuff down. So I appreciate all that everyone shared. I think, I don't know if I'm the only person on the call from Eastern Washington. I actually live in Pullman, and our program is in Pullman, as well as we do have a program over in the Highline School District. I've been very fortunate in that because we're a small community, I know a lot of the parents that of the students who do my after school program. So probably a couple weeks into this school closing, I reached out to all my parents and said, hey, how would you feel about doing a Zoom meeting? We can do the mentorship on Zoom. And for the most part, about half of them were all in and we've been checking in every week. We're not going to do it this week because they're on spring break. And now we're being told that there's no school period for the rest of the school year. Right. So I was going to check in with my parents again to see if, I've only been doing it once a week. Our program is typically twice a week. So I think I'm going to go back to twice a week because I know my teenage daughter is going crazy. This is the first time I've ever heard her say she wanted to go back to school. So I can only imagine what the middle school parents and or students are going through right now. But I think for me, the frustrating thing for us is that we don't have a lot of resources here in town. And for the resources we do have, they're completely overwhelmed with everything that's going on. And so I think that's always been my frustration being here, is that, you know, the things that when I lived on the west side of the state, the things that I had access to and I took advantage of and or didn't really realize, oh yeah, this is a great thing. We have none of that. So like we have one mental health counselor for the whole district, and she's in each of the schools in our district once a week, which is really not a lot.
Certainly not.
And so I just appreciate everything that everyone has shared, and just really trying to navigate how to make this happen for our small community. People are scared. Like we have I think both sides of the spectrum, where we have the older retired community who are like, don't talk to me, don't touch me, I'm in my home. We have, you know, we still have some college students here. So, you know, we have those college students who I think don't really understand the significance of the COVID virus. And, you know, it's not just about, well, I'm young and I can get over it. It's who you're coming in contact with as well. And can they get over it as quickly, or are they compromised already? And so just sort of been trying to navigate all of that from the confines of my home. But I always work from home, so this is not new for me.
Mm-hmm.
But it is new having my husband working from home and my teenage daughter in the house. So I am going crazy a little bit myself, but it's all good. So again, thank you, Janet, for reaching out to me and allowing me just to be on this call, just to hear some resources. And I've written down a lot of them. So definitely gonna pick from those ideas of things I can do with my kiddos via Zoom.
Thank you. And Charisse, are you connected in the Spokane Coalition? Because Chuck, CIS, Gonzaga, Big Brothers Big Sisters, U District Foundation are all meet together. Are you connected with them?
No, I'm not. Our foundation started over on the west side, so we've been over there for about 18 years now. Mac and Zoe, who are the founders of the foundation, we all moved to Pullman here about 5 years ago, and so we're relatively new on this side of the mountain. So I haven't made any contacts with any of those organizations in Spokane.
Okay. Chuck, do you want to put will you put your email in the chat box for Charisse, if you're still there? Well, so here's my next thing, really quick, and I can see almost all of you, is thank you for the appreciations. Minimal thing on my part, but would it be of benefit to have a set of meetings, whether that's once a week or once every 2 weeks, and dive into a specific thing like match closure virtually, or mentor stewardship virtually, or texting platforms virtually? Because for me, if I were in your shoes, I would have heard a bunch of high level stuff that really caught my attention, but not enough for me to go do it. So you want to do thumbs up or some way, you know, stick your thumbs up or thumbs down if you'd like to have us do that and provide a mechanism. Okay. Then anything verbally that you would want a next meeting to be on, or just okay then.
Janet, just one thing. I would like to speak on, and this is a personal thing, but I probably some of my kiddos are struggling with it. So my daughter actually, we just had a virtual meeting last week to finalize her IEP. And so my big concern is, you know, I have a daughter who has ADHD, who already had a 504, now has an IEP, and what education is going to look like for her. So I'm not sure. Like I said, I was gonna reach out to my parents today, but I'm sure there's other kiddos who are struggling with this whole virtual thing. I mean, for someone who's self-motivated and they're on target, that's a great thing. But from, my daughter, she struggles a lot with all of that. And so I find myself having to like dig in with her more so while trying to maintain my office hours. So if we can maybe talk about resources for kids like that, or what we can do as, as a parent to advocate for my own child and to help parents navigate for their children, that would be great.
Okay, cool. And also, I think that the schools have been, at least over here, Charlize, have been really good in sending out lots of activities and things for kids or parents to do. I don't know if that's the case. The other thing is, like, again, really, I don't see David's picture here. I think he's still here. Schools at Washington has a wealth of resources. And they work with, 700 or 800 programs across the state. So please do look at that. And I think special considerations in mental health fit a specific, meeting enough. So we'll go ahead and do that. It seems to me that, I don't want to try to take up too much of your time, but if we do this as a half an hour, it could be a weekly check-in and support for each of you on a different topic, and somebody volunteering or me asking them to have some input about that. Does that sound reasonable? Thumbs nodding, I can see you all. Okay. And so there are lots of other people in the state. We'll just see where this goes. I think for me, I'm finding that the meetings with a big research team across the country, we've been doing that virtually for years, always by phone. And now we're doing it with video. And part of that is because of just the connection that I feel, because I'm on house arrest, is I at least get to see people when there's a Zoom meeting. And that's good for me. I just feel connected and more out there, even though I'm in my house. So thank you very much, Jolynn, for your time and support. Heidi, Kayla, I'm looking for your pictures. So funny. Thank you very much. Victoria, thank you. And then another topic is like the group work that Karen Weirlock is doing in Bellevue, I think is really interesting, and how they're bringing kids together. In this case, it's high school kids. So thank you so much. Stay well. That's the biggest deal there. And we're so grateful for the work you do.